Hello everyone and welcome to the Green Business Owner web class on raising capital. We encourage this session to be highly interactive, so be prepared with your questions, pop them into the chat box, or click on the icon to raise your hand at the top of the screen. In today's class we're going to cover the top 10 sources of capital, including the benefits and drawbacks of each, and strategies that you can use to go about acquiring that capital. And in collaboration with a firm called Cutting Edge Capital, greenbusinessowner.com has produced this downloadable e-tool entitled Raising the Capital Your Business Needs. You may choose to use this as a resource every time you need to get capital. It's listed in the publications section of our website. If you go to greenbusinessowner.com and click on publications, you'll see it under the eTools and Downloads site. It's also not necessary to follow along during this class with this e-tool. We're going to refer to it a couple of times, but it's also not totally necessary to follow along. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started by looking at the top 10 sources of capital for businesses and discussing some of the benefits and the drawbacks of each. We'll go through this section and then pause for questions afterwards. But feel free, if you have a question on a particular slide, you can also write something in the chat box or raise your hand by clicking on that icon at the top. Okay, so we're going to go through these top 10 slide by slide. I just want to sort of give you the spectrum. So at the top of this spectrum is typically the more common and the more easier to acquire sources of capital. At the bottom of the spectrum are the greater sums of money that are harder to get, and rarer for that matter. Okay, so let's start with bootstrapping. This is perhaps the most common form of funding for small business. This diagram in particular that you're seeing on your slide is from our e-tool and explains the process of bootstrapping. The concept is that you start off really small and continually reinvest your profits into growth. It's not so much fundraising as it is more of a strategic plan, but the bottom line is that you don't have to go out and find a pile of money somewhere to go ahead and get started. You just sort of start and then ramp up from there. The example we posted here is a simple one. Someone wants to start a restaurant, but the process of bootstrapping gets them by helping them start by creating one item, say it's a salsa or a hummus, whatever it is, that they then sell either through friends or family, their network, or at a farmer's market, for example, until they have enough money to expand that product line, maybe creating a second salsa or whatever it is. As they increase their offerings and hopefully their profits, they're building a client list, but that's a secondary value. Eventually, they invest in better equipment, such as catering equipment or maybe even a mobile food truck. As they grow, eventually they have enough profits to start a brick and mortar restaurant, and at the same time, they have a built-up client list, which is kind of nice. So bootstrapping is extremely popular. It's very low risk, you can start with almost nothing, and you can get to where you want to go. It just takes some time. Okay, the next avenue, and perhaps the second most common, is through personal loans by friends and family. Everyone seems to have that relative. He's the rich uncle, he never had kids, he's sitting on a pile of cash, he's been engrossing himself in his career for 30 years. He's the one who always picks up the family dinner at restaurants. He always comes to the gatherings with the best wine. So many businesses are started this way, but there are things you'll need to consider. How do you pay Uncle Fred back? When do you pay him back? On what schedule? How much can you reinvest in the company before starting to pay him back? What happens if the company starts to struggle? We have a whole article dedicated to exactly this concept, so I'm going to defer a little bit to that. You can find this article by clicking on the blog tab at the top of our website, greenbusinessowner.com blog. In that, there are several different categories. You can find the finances and investing one. There's a lot of articles there that are helpful and relevant to this discussion. But there's one in particular that's called Raising Funds for Your Green Business, Considerations for Personal Loans. I've also posted the shortened URL here on the screen. It's http://bit.ly/KHF capital E for capital Z. Punch that in and it'll redirect you over to that page. Okay, you can also raise the money you need fairly easily by using credit cards. This is not something that necessarily your parents would advise you to do or most business folks would advise you to do, but it's doable. Okay, here's the catch. You can raise the money you need fairly quickly. There's no loan officer. Nobody's approving anything. Okay, quick benefits. There's no, hang-ups at the beginning. Although if you do have bad credit, you may have trouble getting enough credit cards or having high enough limits to pay for the stuff that you need. The drawbacks are extremely high. There's usually extremely high levels of interest rates, and those rates compound on each other to make matters worse, so that if you're not paying in a timely fashion, it can really ruin your personal credit. So there are some serious drawbacks. In some cases, though, it's an effective solution. Method, pictured here on the screen, soap company started in San Francisco by two guys. Eco-friendly soap, eco-friendly cleaning supplies was started by two guys who leveraged themselves to the hilt in credit card debt to get this thing started. Both of them racked up hundreds of thousands of dollars in credit card debt. Their high tolerance for risk paid off big in the long haul, because now both of them are very wealthy. They've created a ton of green-collar jobs, and they've created basically an empire around soap, eco-friendly soap, which is great. So sometimes credit cards are the way to go. Okay, this one is a really fun one. Let's say, for example, you're a restaurateur. You have a restaurant, you've got some great customers, you're looking to expand. You need some capital. Let's say you need $50,000 in capital to start a second restaurant in another part of the city. You can go to this customer list. Say you have an email address for everybody, or people are coming into the restaurant and you're interacting with them. You can go to, say, 500 people and ask for, quick math, $1,000 a piece. Nope, bad math. $100 a piece. You ask for a $100 gift certificate. You're selling a gift certificate to these folks, $100 a piece for the next restaurant when it opens. If you get 500 people to buy that, you've now raised $50,000. It's effectively interest-free, and it gets you great customer buy-in because now people are talking about it. I can't wait to sample that new restaurant. I have a $100 gift certificate, and I am looking forward to going on opening night. Don't underestimate the amount of work that's involved as well. But the big hang-up is that if you don't deliver on time, then you are alienating your best customers. Okay, this can be with a startup, or this can be with a company that's already in business. If you ask these people for money ahead of time for something, the clock in their head is already ticking. When is this going to be good for something? When is my little piece of paper here that says I have a gift certificate? When am I going to be able to use this? Okay, let's talk a little bit about crowdfunding, the next source of capital. So this is a fairly new trend in raising capital. It's similar to the last method in terms of you're getting money from a lot of different people, but it's different in that you're putting yourself out there to a much wider audience, many of them total strangers. The idea is that you post your concept and allow people to donate to it. It may sound crazy, but it does work. As a mission-driven company, you might find additional benefit is that there are a lot of people donating to nonprofits. If your mission-driven company is looking to alleviate world hunger in some way, you might find that those people who have donated to UNICEF or Oxfam or whatever organization is out there eliminating world hunger, they might also see your business as a way to eliminate world hunger, and maybe they get something in return for it, so they might just donate to it. Okay, there are two kinds of websites that you can look at if you're interested in going in this direction. One is Kickstarter.com, the other is Indiegogo.com. Typically, businesses, when they put their project up there, they ask for certain amounts of money. So for $25, we'll send you a thank you card. For $50, we'll send you a t-shirt with our company logo on it. For $100, we'll send you a t-shirt and a poster for etc., etc., etc. So you may give out a gift certificate or product prototype or whatever it is, but typically it's worth far less than the monetary contribution that people are making. Drawbacks of this are that it's usually a small amount of money that gets raised through these outlets. Definitely don't underestimate the amount of work that's involved. In addition, there's a fairly low chance of success on any kind of scale. You also have to pay Kickstarter and Indiegogo a percentage of the money that you raise. But all in all, you can't really beat it for quote-unquote free money. And you know what? It's pre-marketing before you launch your project that people who care about are probably already on board and psyched about your product coming out. Okay, the next is the most traditional method of getting capital is going to your bank or your credit union and applying for a loan. This class continues in part 2, which you should find directly below this one in the web class archive at greenbusinessowner.com. Remember, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to come to the office hours and let us know. See if we can help you.